Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's Friday night, and while the media melts down over heat waves and hurricanes, we're cutting through the climate cult with facts, not fear. Welcome to the Reaver Common Sense, broadcasting live on SHR Media and streaming across Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, Kick, and Twitch. I am your host, Jersey Joe, armed with data, allergic to propaganda, and ready to torch the lies wrapped in green virtual signals. Welcome, the Phantom. If you want to join the conversation, just go to YouTube, search for SHR Media, jump in the chat. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the climate con. They say the Earth is dying, but geology says otherwise. They say it's all your fault, but history tells a different story. And while the global elite lecture you about carbon footprint from private jets, they plot policies to crush your freedoms under the weight of their own fake consensus. This isn't about saving the planet. It's about controlling the people. So buckle up. We're exposing the fear machine, the junk science, and the billion-dollar scam they branded as climate action. This is Reaver Conversense, where the truth is non-negotiable and the facts don't bend to feelings. Let's tear into it. But before, we have a big announcement. Get ready, Stargate fans. On June 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern, Reaver of Common Sense welcomes a very special guest, Joseph Malazzi. Now, I'm probably butchering his last name, and I do apologize. But he's an executive producer and writer behind Stargate SG-1, Atlantis, and Stargate Universe. He also, I think he's co-creator of Dark Matters. We're diving into behind-the-scenes stories, sci-fi world building, and the legacy of one of the greatest TV franchise. Don't miss this galactic conversation only on SHR Media and streaming live across Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, and now Kick. June 27th at 9 p.m. Be there or get beamed out. Good evening, Sean, and welcome to the show. And before we go any further, if you haven't already, smash that like button, hit subscribe. It helps us cut through the censorship, push back against the narrative, and keep the truth front and center. This is the Reaver Common Sense, and we're just getting started. Climate change. But is the agenda manufactured? All right, let's bring some sanity back to climate conversation. It's time for a reality check the media refuses to give you. And I'm going to preface this. This is in no way saying, oh, we should be able to do whatever we want, pollute, yada, yada, yada. No. We should have sensible regulations, sensible laws put in. But certain people, as we will go over, have figured out how to turn this issue into a money-making scam pyramid. And that's my issue with all this. It's a scam now. The Earth's climate has always changed. That's not up for debate. It's not denial. It's science. It's geology. It's ice cores. It's fossil records. It's sediment layers. It's common sense. It's also basic observation. Civilizations have risen and fallen through cycles of warming and cooling long before carbon emissions entered the conversation. Yet today, so-called experts want to erase that history, replacing thousands of years of geology records with 30-second sound bites and cherry-picked graphics. The climate cult doesn't want you to understand the past. Because if you did, you'd see right through their fear factory. They want you to believe the Earth's climate was perfectly stable and harmonious for hundreds of years. Right when gas-powered cars showed up and politicians discovered they could tax you for existing. That's not science. That's marketing. And the real kicker, much of the data they lean on is built on computer models, projections that are notoriously unreliable and had failed time and time again and does not match reality. It's nonsense, and the science proves it. So let's go back in time. I'm going to go through a little history. And one of the things, I don't know how long this show is going to last. Yeah, exactly, Sean. I remember growing up, I was born early 70s, and I had to hear about another ice age was coming. Then it was the ozone. Then the Earth's going to burn up because of the temperatures. Then the flooding. California's going to break off and become an island. Florida's going to drop into the oceans. You know, the predictions have been going on for a long time now. And we're going to get into some of that because I don't think a single prediction has been made, has come true. But the Earth has gone through ice ages, interglacial warm periods, volcanic winters, and even tropical phases. Long before fossil fuels were a thing, these weren't short-term shifts either. We're talking about changes that unfolded over centuries and millennia, reshaping continents, ocean currents, and ecosystems. During the medieval warm period, roughly 900 to 1300 AD, temperatures were warmer than they are now. Greenland was farmable. Wine was produced in England. Entire cultures thrived in areas that are now far too cold for the same agricultural practice. Sahara Desert was an ocean, parts of it. Other parts were a forest. And it all changed to a desert before humans. Then came the little ice age from the 1300s to the 1850s. Crops failed, rivers froze, Europe was locked in a deep chill. Famine were common. Harvests were unliable, and major historic shifts, including revolutions and migrations, were fueled by cold-induced hardships. These were not anomalies. They were natural long-term trends driven by solar cycles, volcanic activities, and ocean currents. No coal plants, no SUVs, no industrial emissions. Just natural climate cycles, doing what they've always done, long before modern politics decided to rewrite the narrative. The science backs it up. Ice cores taken from Antarctic show hundreds of thousands of years of warming and cooling patterns. These cores captured trapped air bubbles, revealing historic CO2 levels, temperature fluctuations, and atmospheric conditions going back nearly 1 million years. They paint a vivid picture of a planet that has never been static. And I forgot who I originally heard the saying from, is the carbon that they want to remove is us. We're the carbon. It's all the dinosaur farts. And what's funny is now science is coming around on quote unquote fossil fuels, and they're not even from fossils. Scientists think that the oil is a byproduct of the earth and could go from, insulation to many other. They still don't know exactly, because they are drill sites where they pumped all the oil out of it. And now they're full again. So it seems like the quote unquote fossil fuel is a renewable source. It is not what they've been telling us. Yeah. When they tell you that the science is settled, you know you're in trouble, because science is never settled. That's the whole thing about science, is always questioning. And when they got to shut you down for an opposing view, just like this video, this live stream, and we're going to get dinged for it. And what I mean by that is YouTube's going to put up warnings, all that. When it goes up on TikTok, it's going to get taken down because it's an opposing view. And when that happens and it fights your theories and proves them wrong, they have to remove them. This is not a conspiracy theory. We've all seen it. Hell, one of our shows on TikTok just got taken down on TikTok because I dared say that the riots in Los Angeles had nothing to do with the Home Depot raid and more to do with a warrant that was being issued, and that's where the union leader was arrested. And it was taken down for misinformation. And this will get taken down, claimed as misinformation. But when you have to silence the opposing thought, that tells me that they know that their idea is not stable and can be easily ripped apart. Does that make sense to everybody? Am I getting it out right? It just drives me up a wall that you can't have discussions nowadays. Everything's got to be one way and one way only. You want to tell me I'm wrong? Hell, I've had it on X where people have proven me wrong and I've admitted it. If you could prove me wrong, I will admit it. I have no problem. I'm a human. I make mistakes. But when you got to silence the opposing ideology, you're on the wrong side of history, people. When you're talking the carbon, the CO2, is so low, it can cause massive damage to this planet. If they lower it too much lower, it could kill all the plants on this world. That's how dangerous this game is they're playing. And as I've already said, when you are flying around on a private jet, your carbon footprint is God knows how much higher than my, little existence on this planet. That tells me you're full of shit and you think you're above it all. Now, let's see what time. But as I said, the core samples taken from Antarctica show hundreds of thousands of years of warming. We've seen it. Yeah, the rich liberal. Exactly. Like I said, if you want to get in the chat on YouTube and chime in, it's They want nothing but to silence us. And the Phantom's right. They want to silence because they can't handle opposite views. And we heard Obama, he just gave a speech. We've heard it from Hillary Clinton and a host of other Democrats. They want to be able to silence us. They hate the First Amendment, only when they get to use it. But they want to silence us. They want government oversight over social media and the internet so that they can control what we say. And they accuse the Republicans of being the fascists and the authoritarian. I think that's something that Iran does, is control the speech, control what is said. They can't handle the opposition because the science isn't there. And kind of lost my train of thought, that little blink. Thank you for the follow. BV, BVV, BNV, BB, or BM. Whew, that was a mouthful. They can't handle it. They don't want it. And when you start looking at the information and you start looking at the organizations, it's all political. Fossil records and sediment layers further confirm large-scale natural climate change. Fossils of tropical plants in the Arctic and marine creatures found far inland prove that massive temperature swings and sea level changes are part of Earth's DNA. Entire ecosystems have shifted, disappeared, or reemerged in response to slow-moving temperature swings caused by factors like solar cycles. And what do they mean by solar cycles? Some of them, sorry, got distracted by chat for a second. Solar flares. They can cause an increase in temperature on planet Earth. Orbital variations. Our poles are constantly shifting. But that's because of fat bottom girls. Volcanic activity and not carbon emissions. Volcanic activities is one of the major, polluters of carbon monoxide into the earth. How are they going to stop that? We all know they want to try to do away with cows because as much farting as they do. Now I got to come up with some big words. Let's see. But we'll continue this on the other side.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic women who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as a good revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, here to make sense out of the senseless, right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. Again, we have that big announcement. Get ready, Stargate fans. On June 27th, 9 p.m. Eastern, Reaver of Common Sense welcomes a very special guest, Joseph Malazzi, executive producer and writer behind Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe, co-creator and executive producer for Dark Matter TV series and the comic book. We're diving into behind-the-scenes stories, sci-fi world building, and the legacy of one of TV's greatest franchise. It also spawned 2 movies. I also had the movie that started the whole thing, but that's not connected, but I digress. Don't miss this galactic conversation only on SHR Media and streaming live across Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. June 27th, that's a week from tonight at 9 p.m. Be there or get beamed down. And before we go any further, if you haven't already, smash that like button, hit subscribe. It helps cut through the censorship, push back against the narrative, and keep the truth front and center. This is the Reaver of Common Sense, and we're just getting started. So we're talking about climate change, and I can't push it enough. This doesn't mean, and most of us within this realm, doesn't mean that we think we should go out and start dumping oil into the ocean. We're not into destroying the planet that gives us life. But we also understand that we're not going to cut our nose off to spite our face. And that's what a lot of this is. I went too far. It's basically almost like a socialist Ponzi scheme. And it's giving money to countries that don't have it from countries that make it. They keep bitching and boring about the United States, and we're not up there in the list of polluters. China is one of the biggest. China and India, I think it is, are some of the biggest polluters, and nobody bitches and bores about them. Do you know why a lot of businesses go to China for manufacturing? Think about it. How much does it cost to transport everything back? But the cost of cheap labor and the energy is pennies on a dollar over there. because they create energy and don't give a shit about what they pollute into the sky. That tells you something. That doesn't mean we should go ahead and do it. That is not what I'm saying. But they make the big bad of the United States when we're not. And what we've been talking about here is the science that backs it up. The Plasticine and Ectacine, I think it is, thermal maximum, 55 million years ago, saw global temperature spike by 5 to 8 degrees Celsius over a few thousand years. Oceans acidified occurred. Rain patterns shifted. Forces expand towards the poles. And all this happened with zero industrial activity. Just natural geography and atmospheric processes at work. Yes, I'm getting tongue-tied and twisting over my own damn words. More recently, we've seen that past interglacial periods, Stargate, intergalactic, had me tripping up. But these interglacial periods were even warmer than today, and sea levels were significantly higher, 20 to 30 feet higher in some cases. That wasn't due to SUVs. It was part of Earth's long-term secular behavior. And these findings have been confirmed by both NASA and geological fieldwork across coastal and continental shelves. So yes, climate change is real, but it's not the product of you heating your house, using a gas stove, or commuting to work. It's part of Earth's natural rhythm, and one that's been repeating long before humans walked the earth, and it will continue long after we're gone. Now we're going to start talking about continental drift and the real climate shifter. Everyone wants to scream climate change and blame it on the tailpipes and hamburgers. Here's what they conveniently ignore. Continental drift has been driving climate change for hundreds of millions of years. That's right. The continents move. Slowly, yes, but with massive consequences. Let's start with the basics. When continents shift, they reshape the oceans. That changes currents, temperatures, and weather across the planet. Don't believe me? Look at history. When North and South America connected and formed the... I'm going to butcher this. Isthmus of Panama. It cut off the Pacific and Atlantic from freely mixing. That fired up the Gulf Stream, pushing warm water towards Europe. And boom! Europe got a whole lot warmer. Now let's look at Antarctica. It wasn't always a frozen wasteland, but once it drifted to the South Pole and got surrounded by open ocean, that allowed a freezing current to circle the whole continent. Result? Ice sheets. Lots of them. And that sucked up ocean water, causing global sea levels to drop. Continents at the poles, ice on land equals lower sea levels. And it doesn't stop there. When the continents open or close ocean gateways, like the ancient Tethys Sea, or the connection between Africa and Europe, they trap heat or release it, depending on the setup. That could warm or cool an entire hemisphere over time. Oh, and let's not forget about volcanoes. As plates collide and rip apart, they trigger massive eruptions. These eruptions dump CO2 in the air, just like humans do, but on a geological scale. Example, the Siberian traps enough volcanic CO2 to heat the planet and help wipe out 90% of life in the Permian extinction. So before you panic over gas stoves and pickup trucks, remember this. The Earth has been changing on its own for eons. The continents themselves are climate weapons. And unlike the fear-mongering politicians, they don't need your tax dollars to do it. And that's one thing that gets me. How come they think increase the taxes, pay more money, and it will stop the climate change? Doesn't make sense, does it? And again, doesn't mean we shouldn't be cautious and protective of this planet. I can't push that enough because everybody thinks just because I don't buy into this hoax that they push on us, it doesn't mean I don't want to take care. And what about the failed predictions? Let's not forget the doomsday predictions that never came true, despite being pushed by global institution, activist scientists, and a media machine hungry for fear-driven clicks. Remember the polar bear extinction by 2020? Didn't happen. Populations are stable or even growing. Even the IUCN has backed off previous alarmist claims, admitting many subpopulations are thriving. How many times have we heard this one? New York City underwater. Still dry. Sea levels have risen slightly, about 9 inches over the past 70 years. No mass flooding, no disappearing skyline, just another case of exaggerated timelines. Now, let me ask you, with these experts and mouthpieces that are out there, if they believed in the rhetoric they pushed, why are they buying beachfront property? Why would insurance companies insure beachfront property, knowing that it's going to get swallowed up by the ocean? Because it's not happening, people. Not on the degree they're talking or the reasons they're talking. Trying to find something, and it's bugging the shit out of me, and I can't remember. Now I won't be able to find it. Give me 1 second. Maybe I can find it here. Now I won't find it. Never mind. But we're going to go on to the ice-free Arctic by 2013 or 2020. Still hasn't happened. Arctic sea level ice has declined, yes, but nowhere near the full melt apocalypse we were promised. In fact, every time a date is missed, a new one is invented and passed off as science. And now they're saying that certain areas of the Arctic to have record amount of ice. Yeah, and the predictions have failed. So much so that their new thing is they're making predictions, but it's 100 years in the future. Why? So that none of us can ever see that their predictions never happen. Give me 1 second. Trying to find this and it's driving me up a wall. It goes through the list of everything. I think from the 60s all the way up to modern time of the predictions that have been made. And then they try saying, well, it wasn't scientists. Oh, but it was. It was science groups making these predictions, saying this is what's going to happen. And then it's time and time again. But yet, not a single one has come true. All right, break's coming up soon. I'll look. See if I can find it more. Here's one of them. Oil gone in 10 years. Another ice age. In the 60s, the oil, they said, would be gone in 10 years. 70s, another ice age in 10 years. In the 80s, acid rain will destroy all crops in 10 years. The 90s was the ozone layers, and the ozone will be gone in 10 years. 2000 was the ice caps will be gone in 10 years. How you doing, Biggie? Thank you for being here. And yet, you're going to hear a common theme of me saying, it never happened. $50 million climate refugees by 2010. That prediction came from a now deleted UN report. The number never materialized. It was repeated endlessly until it quickly vanished when the date came and went. Other failures, Al Gore's infamous snow-free winters in the 2010s. The collapse of the Himalayan glaciers. The extinction of coral reefs by now. None of it came true. In fact, the coral reefs down in Australia that were, what is the Great Barrier Reef? Australia's been telling people to shut up about it because it was hurting their tourism. People are like, oh, well, you know what? If that's not going to be there, why go there? Guess what? Barrier Reef's doing perfectly fine, people. Instead of owning up to it, they doubled down because admitting failure threatens the entire narrative. They keep moving the goalposts because the facts don't match the fear-mongering. And every failed prediction gets memory hold, while new apocalyptic deadlines are fed to the public like gospel. It's not science. It's manipulation dressed in a lab coat.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic women who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as a good revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
Right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, here to make sense out of the senseless. Right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. We got that big announcement. Get ready, Stargate fans, on June 27th. That's a week from tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. Reaver Common Sense welcomes a very special guest, Joseph Malazzi, executive producer, writer behind Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate Universe. He is the co-creator and executive producer He is the executive producer of Dark Matter TV series and the comic book. We're diving into the behind-the-scenes story, sci-fi world building, and the legacy of one of TV's greatest franchises. Don't miss this galactic conversation only on SHR Media and streaming live across Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, and now Kick. June 27th at 9 p.m. Be there or get beamed out. And before we go any further, if you haven't already, smash that like button. Hit the share button. Hit the subscribe button. It's a lot of hitting to do. It helps us cut through the censorship, push back against the narrative, and keep the truth front and center. This is the Reaver Common Sense, and we're just getting started. So we're on to the last segment of the show. And we're going to be talking about the silencing of scientists. When politics hijacks science, they tell you to trust the science. I remember 98% of the scientists agree about climate change. So I started trying to look into it. I could not find a poll that said 98% of the scientists say there is. What I found out it was, and this is something that the Democrats love to do, wasn't that 98% of the scientists agree there is climate change. 98% of scientists that wrote a paper saying there is climate change agreed with their paper. So let's take it. There's 100 scientists that wrote a paper. 98 of them went, yep, I agree with my paper. And 2 of them went, shit, I got it wrong. That's where that number came from that Obama and the Democrats love to throw out there. And when they say trust assignment or science, what they really mean is trust the narrative. Because the moment real scientists speak out, the machine turns on them like a pack of wolves. Let's talk about the IPCC, the so-called gold standard of climate science. What they don't tell you is that even insiders have blown the whistle on how corrupt, biased, and politically driven the IPCC has become. Take Richard Toll, a lead author for the IPCC. He stepped away from the process and called the final report alarmist, deliberately designed to scare, not inform. His work was manipulated to push a crisis message instead of honest scientific nuance. His reward? Smeared, sidelined, silenced. Then there's Roger Pilik Jr. And again, I'm probably butchering his last name. A scientist who had the audacity to say what the data showed, that while climate change is real, extreme weather events like hurricanes and wildfires aren't getting worse in the way the media hypes. What happened? He was targeted by Democratic members of Congress, effectively pushed out of mainstream climate discussion. His funding dried up, his name blacklisted, not for lying, but refusing to lie. Then there's a Regina This is a gentleman that was a former chair of the IPCC. Admitted it. The panel was too political. This came before he stepped down under a cloud of sexual harassment scandal. But his warning still rings loud. The science was already compromised. It's funny how he comes out and says that the IPCC has gotten too political. And magically, a sexual harassment scandal pops up. Could be connected, may not be connected. That's for you to decide. Yeah, exactly, Sean. I hate that. And I looked, and I'll look him up sometimes and try to, but I'll never remember how to pronounce. But it's his name, last name is Pachauri. But that's the pattern. Step out of line, challenge the panic, and you're done. The media won't defend. Academia won't protect you. You're labeled a denier and erased. Now, have you noticed that they had to create a whole category? Oh, you're a denier. No, I'm a questioner. And again, I thought that you were supposed to do in science is question everything. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm not anything like that. But I was always told you're supposed to question the results. And that science is never settled. This isn't science. It's censorship. It's not censures. It's coercion. The climate industrial complex doesn't want open debate. It wants obedience. It wants power. And anyone who threatens that narrative gets silenced. I'm telling you, I'm expecting this show, the podcast part, to be taken down. Or massive warnings labeled all over it because I dare question. Exactly. Sean just put it exactly. The left doesn't believe science. Remember, Fauci said, I am science. They only like the science they can manipulate and profit off of. Look at how hospitals realized they could make a ton of money off of trans operations. Bingo. They want submission. We are the carbon they want to delete. We are in their way. The real agenda. Let's be clear. The climate isn't the crisis. The agenda is. The left hijacked climate change and turn it into a political weapon. It's not about saving the planet. It's about controlling people, where you live, how you travel, what you eat, even what you're allowed to say. Carbon taxes, green subsidies, global regulations, digital carbon passports. Speech restriction disguised as misinformation control. And again, who did we just hear talking about that? That we need an agency to control the misinformation. Oh, where did that come from, Sean? And so, yes, it's off subject, but that's Minnesota Star Tribune is reporting that. For those that don't know, Vance is the gentleman who is accused of murder. Oh, I know he killed one Democrat politician, shot up another. With the husband and wife, but he shot 4 people. I know of one dead. I've heard 2. I've heard 1. I've heard it bounce back and forth, so I'm not going to say it. But this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Sean. But again, it's about misinformation that they call misinformation. And that's the funny thing. They want to control what is and isn't misinformation. Because Democrats are some of the biggest misinformation propagandists out there. Every so-called climate emergency is just a convenient excuse to expand government power, silence dissidents, and redirect public funds into a tightly controlled, ideologically aligned system. They don't want climate solutions. They want permanent authority. Meanwhile, the elite fly in private jets to climate summits, dine on Wagyu beef, and buy oceanfront property while preaching doom to the rest of us. It's a blatant double standard. Control for you, luxury for them. They scream climate emergency every time the weather doesn't match their script, while completely ignoring the historical reality that this planet has been hotter, colder, wetter, drier, and more chaotic long before modern life. Nature always been unpredictable, but now they found a way to profit from that unpredictability by packaging it as a never-ending crisis that only they can solve if you give them enough control and enough money. Let's talk about the so-called pollutant that's actually killing or keeping the planet alive. CO2. That's right. Carbon dioxide isn't some evil gas choking the earth. It's plant food. Without it, photosynthesis shuts down. Crops don't grow, and we all starve. But you won't hear that from the climate cult. In fact, and NASA satellite data confirms a global phenomenon the media doesn't want you to talk about. Global greening. Thanks to slightly higher CO2 levels, plant life is thriving, forests are expanding, crop yields are up, deserts are even shrinking in some regions. So while bureaucrats and activists are panicking and demanding we kill our energy sector, nature is out here saying thank you to the CO2. More CO2 means more photosynthesis. More photosynthesis means more food, more oxygen, and a greener planet. The truth, CO2 is an enemy. It's the unsung hero of the natural world. And like Sean says, it makes my water bubbly. Let's talk numbers real quick. Since 1900, global drought frequency hasn't significantly increased. Despite constant alarmists, satellite data and long-term records confirm that while local droughts occur, globally there's no alarming upward trend. Yet the narrative remains locked in panic mode. Polar bear populations are estimated at 26,000, not vanishing, but stable or growing. The images of starving bears circulated the media were isolated incidents, not signs of specific collapse. Even environmental groups have quietly walked back their extinction timeline. New York has seen about 9 inches of sea level rise since 1950. Not a drowned cityscape. Coastal resilience, engineering, and natural adaptation have prevented the doomsday floods we were told were going to happen. UN predictions of 50 million climate refugees by 2010 never happened. Hurricanes, contrary to what screamed every storm season, there's no statistically significant increase in global hurricane frequencies. Some regions have seen stronger storms, but others have seen decline. Tornadoes, long-term U.S. data show a downward trend in strong tornadoes, not an increase. Wildfires, often blamed on climate, but worsened by forest mismanagement, arson, and poor land use policy. What has increased? The scale of government regulations, the size of climate-related budgets, the amount of propaganda in schools, and the consolidation of power under the banner of saving the planet. All justified by these failed or distorted predictions. Real quick, who profits from climate panic? Climate NGOs raking in donations while sounding alarms they have no incentive to silence. Green energy billionaires cashing in on government subsidies, carbon credits, and lucrative public-private partnerships. Politicians, Al Gore, using climate hysteria to justify sweeping social and economical reform, and from wealthy redistribution to surveillance under the guise of sustainability. And what gets lost in the noise? Real environmental issues. Forest mismanagement that fuels massive wildfires. Overfishing that decimates ecosystem. Chemical dumping in waterways by corporations with political cover. Plastic pollution from countries that receive climate aid yet ignore basic waste management. Developing nations spewing unchecked emissions while lecturing the West about responsibility. Meanwhile, you're told to eat bugs, give up your car, and stop flying while elites buy beachfront mansions and host climate summits catered with steak and champagne. This isn't about saving the planet. It's about saving their position at the top. We're going to start wrapping it up. This isn't just about weather patterns. It's about power, propaganda, and the war on truth. They've hijacked science, weaponized fear, and packaged it as climate justice. But we're not buying it, and we're not backing down. To the patriots listening, the real climate crisis isn't in the atmosphere. It's in our politics. It's in the corruption that twists facts into fear and uses crisis to crush liberty. But you see through it. You think for yourself. And that makes you dangerous to their agenda. The show isn't about echo chambers or safe spaces. It's about hard truths, loud voices, and fearless resistance. The Reaver of Common Sense isn't here to soothe. It's here to shake, to wake, and to arm you with the truth they hope you'll never hear. So don't sit silent while they rewrite reality. Don't whisper when they shout lies. This is your country, your future, your fight, and your voice. It matters now more than ever. Every truth we speak cuts through their narrative. Every stand we take pushes back against the machine. We're not just observers. We're the resistance. And we're just getting started. Until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and stay unshakable. And if you want more of that no filter, no nonsense truth, we have BZ Berserk Bobcat Saloon every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Edge of Liberty with Sackhead Sean Mondays and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Mission Ready Men with Big E Jackson Tuesdays and Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And of course, Reaver of Common Sense, me, Monday and Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, a week from today, I have that great special coming up. I will be having live executive producer Joseph Malazzi. Till then, the fight for common sense starts with the truth and ends with victory. Join the resistance. Join the Reaver of Common Sense. Stay loud. Stay proud. Stay relentless. Good night.